Go on, Jorge Martin. Welcome back, Jorge. Here's a bit of Honda rubber.
Yeah, it's a classic Bruno move. There's 2 into 1, don't go through there. Oh, Bagnaia's really deep into there. He's blown the corner. I think Bezzecchi might be able to square him off here.
Whoa, that's going to get so tight between Marquez as well as they came through the second part of the S's. Down to turn 1, Marco Bezzecchi on his pal Pecco. Here we go. Through he goes the front, protesting. Marquez is going to try and turn underneath the pair of them. Bagnaia does really well to bring it back in second.
Yeah, it's such a long corner, isn't it? There's a few different lines around that part of the racetrack as well. 3 abreast, anyone?
Down towards turn 3 we go once more, and Marquez is attacking Bagnaia once more. Levels him, he's going to run deep. Bagnaia will try and cut to the inside. Bagnaia now has to take evasive action as Marquez comes through, and it's Marco Bezzecchi leading us out of turn 4.
Yeah, and Pedro Acosta's going, I fancy a little bit of this. In 4th place, looking confident.
Here we go. I thought Bagnaia, we're about to see the Bagnaia we saw in Mugello. Similar kind of racetrack that we've got here in Brno, but he wasn't able to get that pass done on Marquez. It's the stadium. Is it? No. Had to abort that mission.
Yeah, I think Mark could sense him, so he drifted out wide and just pinched off that chance.
So Bezzecchi leads, Pedro Acosta very close. He rides so close to the rear of the bike in front of him, almost clipped the rear of Bagnaia's bike. But Acosta looking racy in these early stages of the Czech Grand Prix.
That's Joan Mir in 6th place.
Yes,
We've not seen him this far up in a long time. Alex Marquez as well, very impressive working his way through the field.
Yeah, he was slipping up on a tear-off yesterday on the grid, dropped right back down the order, then had a collision with his teammate. Acosta thought he was maybe thinking of a move there as
there will be collision.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's usually the rider on the outside goes down, and this time both riders go down. But I mean, will Alex Marquez receive a penalty moving forward? I'm going to have to probably say yes. It's a failed attempt at a pass.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he will. If Augusto Fernandez got one as he did yesterday, now can Pedro Acosta make it cleaner on Bagnaia as he goes up into 3rd place? Isn't it great to see Acosta able to battle in the podium spots once more? The lack of data that the other teams have got here, I think, have helped KTM this weekend.
Yeah.
Ducati don't have the data. I'm not saying KTM do either, but it means that they can't rest on the laurels, they can't go back to years gone by.
Yeah, a big discussion going on here between the 2 Spanish riders, and there's only one person to blame. Joan Mir cannot see Alex Marquez, but Alex Marquez is doing what every racer would do. There is room to have a go at sticking your front wheel in, but you have to know when to back out of it. I mean, Alex, let's say, being a little bit desperate, trying to get to the front, having qualified so poorly.
Race weekend's worth of points. 111 you get for 3 doubles in a row. Mark obviously had 4 doubles in a row, trying to make it 5 here today. That'd be a huge lead in the championship.
Jorge Martin's not that far back. He's in 8th place, he's moving forward, he's lapping at similar-ish times to the guys, to the leaders.
Just been passed by Jack Miller, unfortunately, for 8th place. Miller's having a decent weekend as we go on board again with Fabio Quartararo, and just not able to stay in front. Yes, he is on the brakes in front of Enea Bastianini on the Tech 3 KTM.
It's so good to see Bastianini back, as in back. He's been missing all year, hasn't he? I mean, he's had no speed, no performance on that KTM, but he's definitely found a setting that he feels comfortable with, and it looks like the old Enea. He looks aggressive, the bike's moving around a lot, and he's got some pace. Here we go.
Here we go in the little flip-flop, and through he goes, past Quartararo. Quartararo will hope for good exit. The one thing that's working in both KTM and Yamaha's favour this weekend is the grip. because that's what they've both talked about, haven't they? As Ralph Fernandez, this is opportunistic, as the wounded animal sits there. He goes in hard, doesn't he, Ralph Fernandez, and takes the position from him.
Again, another rider. I'm so pleased. I mean, I was starting to think that Ralph Fernandez would never find any speed and never sort of, let's say, work out the puzzle of a complicated MotoGP bike, but Fernandez in the last 3 or 4 rounds has found some pace, found some consistency. I know he's been working hard with his crew chief, and I've been told that they're not changing the setting as much, just the bike is the bike, get on and ride it. I think that's one of the things you can end up down a rabbit hole, constantly changing the bike, not understanding the limits of it, and it's really easy for a rider to get a little bit lost.
It's been a great few rounds recently for Marco Bezzecchi since he won at Silverstone. You know, he wasn't regularly inside the top 10 in those opening rounds of the season, but it's all been top 5s in recent events. Of course, he didn't make it to the line. He was running second in Germany, but second in the sprint there, second in Assen, third in the sprint in Assen, 5th in the race in Mugello, 4th yesterday. Things are looking up for not just Bezzecchi, but Aprilia, especially with Jorge Martin back in the saddle. Good lap, that one from Bezzecchi as well, a 154.0 from him. Fastest lap of yesterday's sprint was a 53.6, so that 54.0 is an excellent lap from the Aprilia man.
Yeah, and he's got the lead up to nearly 0.4 of a second.
Marc Marquez will have expected to have been leading this race. He's deep there, though, isn't he?
Yeah, and it just shows that on the absolute limit all the time. And all that is there is Bezzecchi braking just that a couple of meters too late, carrying too much corner entry speed. He doesn't want to trail brake too much and tuck the front, and then you have to give up 2 or 3 tenths, but it's the right thing to do. It's a long race.
Massimo Rivola watches on. He's managed a situation with Jorge Martin such that Jorge this weekend, if you haven't heard the news, has confirmed he will stay as an Aprilia rider in 2026. Fantastic news for the championship, fantastic news for everyone. Aprilia.
Well, for everyone except Honda, let's say.
Possibly, yeah.
Because it would have been a good, a sneaky little signing if they could have got Jorge Martin.
Down towards turn 10, Kevin Schwantz corner. We go on board with Marc Marquez. Bottom part of the track is here. Just look how much it rises up in front of us.
Yeah, and one of the better corners because you feel safe into there. Mark's a bit deep, got that slightly wrong. You break into the face of the hill. It gives you a lot of support, so you can be a lot more aggressive. Not quite the same up here because it's steep all the way, right up until the critical point up over here, and it flattens off, and then it sort of pushes you into this last sector. You want to use half of the road. A late apex, waiting, stand the bike up, cut the curbs, and he's got himself in a perfect position here. He's going to have a look here.
Oh, he is. Do you know what? Riding on board there, he just picked it up beautifully out of turn 1, didn't he? Got the bike stood up. You know, Danny Pedrosa, we talked about it in Sachsenring, but Danny was also really good around here. Yeah. And the way Marc Marquez is getting that bike picked up to fire it down some of these short straights, bringing him back to the Aprilia man.
It's almost like if there was a book teaching riders how to ride a MotoGP bike, it would be the Danny Pedrosa book. Just watch his style. He was the king of getting off the side of the tyre, get onto the fatter part of the tyre, the bigger contact patch, so you can start to use that power. Once you're trying to use over 200 brake horsepower, you can't play with that on the side of the tyre, and Pedrosa was the best at utilising that.
2012, there was a scrap between him and Jorge Lorenzo, completely contrasting styles, but it was just beautiful to watch the two different ways of riding a MotoGP machine. 13 years on, we're here with Marc Marquez chasing Marco Bezzecchi on an Aprilia. Different times, it's all European manufacturers, isn't it, at the front of this race. Top Japanese bike is the got through on Pecco in the stadium, second part of the corner. Bagnaia is loving it this weekend.
Yeah, it looks like a completely different rider.
Full 360, or 180 shall I say, probably 360 if you've gone the same way. Full 180 on his performance in recent weeks, or since the start of the season really. It wasn't appendicitis he missed out with last week, it was Campylobacter, food poisoning. He said he lost 3 kilos, and it looked like it, didn't it?
Yeah, you can see it looks gaunt, he really does, and he could start feeling it in this race. At the moment he'll be fine, 7 laps in, your adrenaline's flowing, you're going forward. I just wonder,
huge run, it's his Bastianini, just as we're talking about him, down there into turn 3.
That could be a red flag, because that's hit the airbag, and it looked like the airbag.
We are not at 3/4 race distance. There is Gottfried Neumeister, the new CEO of KTM. Let's have a look. They've moved this barrier back. That was part of the track modifications. We've seen a few weird ones like that this weekend.
And that was quite a weird one. The rear nearly I think the reality was that in those opening rounds, because the bike wasn't up to scratch, all riders went in different directions. They were testing lots of different things during race weekends and basically tied themselves up in knots.
Is it just a one-off? I know we can't say here and now. We'll find out in Austria. Obviously, it's a home race for KTM next time.
Well, we know their Achilles heel is grip, like you mentioned, and this is a grippy track, so that might be masking their main problem. So I'll hold it back. Right, let's have a look further back.
From the
Alex Marquez goes for it and loses it pretty much as he hits him. It's
at the front, we've got to change. We're going to change in leader. Sorry, as we're watching that replay, Marquez has come through and he's done it again. And it got tight with Bezzecchi, scrapping it out, wasn't he there? But that will give the advantage to Marquez as they drag down the hill towards turn 5.
Yeah, classic Bruno. On the brakes up into turn 3, he went wide, but he knew where Marco Bezzecchi was positioning his bike.
I think Marquez was going a bit wide then in turn 5. I mean, that is the move, isn't it?
Whenever you pass here, usually someone will undercut you, which that's what Bez was doing, but Mark knew he was there, and he had every right to try and drift across in front of him. Every racer would have done that.
So Marquez is back in front. What can he do from this position? Yesterday, of course, he dropped behind Pedro Acosta to bring up his front tyre pressure. You'd assume they wouldn't get it wrong 2 days in a row.
No.
Tyre pressure situation in this race, 1.68 bar on the rear, that's not a problem. The front is where it was yesterday. You've got to be 1.8 bar, and it's for 60% of this race that you've got to have that tyre pressure above the minimum of 1.8 bar.
Yeah, thinking about yesterday's race, can we never talk about that ever again? I don't think it happened. If we don't talk about it, it didn't happen.
Well, it didn't, because there was an error, and so it was all forgotten about straight away.
Well, Bezzecchi on the brakes there was incredible. Fraction wide, I think that might have been part of the reason he was closing in so quickly on Mark in the braking zones.
Well, I suppose then, if you've been out front a few laps and then suddenly you've got the turbulent air, you've got a little bit of slipstream messing you as you come up the hill there,
exactly,
and then over the top of that crest.
What happens? You get to the braking zone for the first time, and you've less downforce really holding you back, and it just takes a couple of laps just to calculate. And we're talking small margins, honestly.
Sorry, Neil, this will be the lap that counts, won't it? Yes, Bezzecchi did a 55.2 on the last lap, but Marquez did a 54.8. Pedro Acosta, 54.7, and actually there's quicker riders behind. Yeah. Pecco Bagnaia, Raul Fernandez, Fabio Quartararo, all quicker than the leaders, so this will be the one that counts now for Marquez.
Yeah, and you'd have to say, you mentioned Raul Fernandez, this is by far his best performance in a dry MotoGP race in 3 years. It's sort of just behind, half a second behind Francesco Bagnaia, and looks comfortable.
Just see the top of your picture, the blue Trackhouse Aprilia, excellent to see, isn't it? As Marquez comes through the stadium section, through to turns 8 and 9, left, right, S. dropping down the hill all the way through the stadium. It was so smooth throughout the weekend.
Yeah,
needs more of that now in the race to try and eke out a lead over Bezzecchi.
Yeah, it's a big lap, this one for Mark. First full clear lap, trying to break every rider's spirit. The gap was 0.2 over the line. It's up to 0.6 at this moment.
Looked like René Bastianini was okay, back in the Tech 3 garage. Good to see, but you know, it's been a good return of a weekend for him and the Tech 3 team. No Maverick Vinales this weekend, unfortunately. Shoulder surgery for Mac. I hope that he's back for Austria, because you know only too well, Neil Hodgson. Shoulder surgery, the sort of thing he's had. He had a dislocated shoulder and a fracture then in the on the outside acromion or whatever, and that can be something that niggles on for your life.
It's one of those things, the initial reports are, it might take about 6 to 8 weeks, and then 3 years later you've still got issues with it. Shoulder injuries, soft ligament damage, tears, can be an absolute nightmare, so fingers crossed for Mav.
I bet you never want to hear the word rotator cuff again.
Rotator cuff again, no, I don't want to talk about that. That's very not fond memories, and shoulder injuries have destroyed many a rider's career. So same as wrist injuries. It's wrist injuries and shoulder injuries that are the worst.
So on that last lap, Marc Marquez went and put in a 54.1. He upped his pace by 0.7 of a second on one lap. Now, Bezzecchi did a 54.4, Acosta a 54.5, Bagnaia 54.5, but Marc Marquez on that last lap was 3/10 quicker than anybody on the circuit. Is that the story of the race now? We're about up to halfway point. We're on lap 10 of 21. And Mark is stretching out his lead, looking to become the first Ducati rider in Grand Prix history to take 5 wins in a row.
Wow, that's a stat.
And it'll be 5 doubles in a row as well, because they've taken the sprints in all of them too.
Wow, it's a big record when you think of, obviously, I'm thinking of Casey Stoner, I'm thinking of Bagnaia's incredible seasons when he's been on a decent run.
Well, 11 wins last year, wasn't it? He had 4 in a row, if you remember, between Barcelona, Italy, Assen and Sachsenring last year. He had 5 in 6, but never 5 in a row. Pedro Costa, really encouraging to see this. The rear sits down on his KTM. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 spots. So not a Ducati clean sweep.
No, I'll tell you what's quite interesting as well. Pedro Acosta turned up at Sachsenring a few weeks back, and with a different attitude. He was less grumpy, he was more positive. He did sort of point the finger towards KTM to say, listen, I'm gonna try and approach the weekend slightly different. It's down to KTM to basically give me the material and I'll get the results. But from that moment, it's slight what appears to be an attitude change. The results are much better.
Jorge Martin's having an excellent ride. He just got back through in front of Jack Miller. Miller and Binder behind him, though, have just set personal best laps. Binder in particular. Good. From when we came here back in, well, from when we were here in 2020. With the record actually stood from 2016. It was a certain mark.
Kind of with a front tyre issue, you know, with the tyre pressure going up a little bit. Yeah, if you're Pedro, you're starting to not panic. You sacrifice a little bit with that. Is the riders complain that it's physical?
And then 7. So good to see the crowds returning to the Czech Republic.
Because he's had a look, and then all of a sudden you have a few moments where
imagine if Pedro Costa's front tyre pressure starting to go up. This front tyre starting to balloon effectively.
exactly.
Making it much harder to ride. This was the move.
Fastest lap of the race, of his race, for the man in second place, Marco Bezzecchi. And actually it closed in 0.2 of a second. That's that move. That's that where Mark could sense him on the outside, so he just put his bike in his way. Like I said, it's this is for enough. This is why this track's so good. So many places to overtake. I must admit, I was one of them, trying to work out, is he as good as we actually originally thought? And I tell you what, the answer to that is yes. And it's then been down to the engineers to
1.5 down into the final sector. It was 1.3 across the line on the previous lap. And they cross the line now, 7 to go in the Czech.
Into the 53s, 53.7 at this point in the race.
Well, how many times have we seen that this year as Brad Binder all over the back of his pal, former teammate Jack Miller, down into turn 3, late break manoeuvre. Was it from Binder's? Oh, he was so close.
That would have
close.
That would have not felt nice for Brad Binder, because you can't squeeze the brake any harder. He was closing in there at an alarming rate. That's a horrible feeling, because you're like, oh, this is going to be close.
It was. Really close.
And that's why there is a reason you don't have wing mirrors on racing bikes, because if you're Jack Miller, you would not want to have looked and seen Brad Binder coming in at 90 degrees.
So with Marquez responding, the gap's just growing now. He's done it a lot this year, hasn't he? Set the fastest lap of races in the second half of the race.
Yep, it breaks a rider's spirit. Just when you think you might have half a chance, you soon realise you've not.
It's a good weekend for Pol Espargaro, isn't it? He's got through on Johan Zarco,
yeah,
who's now holding up Ayagura by the looks of things. But having come in as a stand-in rider, you know, he does our job. He sits here talking for Spanish TV.
Do you know what I'm really pleased for? Luca Marini. Really pleased for him.
Yeah.
I mean,
2 weekends on the bounce, isn't it now?
Exactly. He's come back after all that injury. I mean, we've got a 3-week break. After this, he can go home, have a good relax, and he's built some confidence on that factory Honda. He's caught and passed Zarco.
Brad Binder's
really
now
pleased for him.
Having to recover the ground that he's lost to Miller with that aborted mission. At the front, another new fastest lap of the race, a 153.6 now from Marc Marquez, now nearly 2.5 seconds quicker than the old race lap record.
It annoyed him, that, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think that annoyed Mark when the gap came down. He's like, what am I doing? I'm supposed to be... As Julian Ryder messaged me yesterday, explained, no, sorry, it wasn't, it was David Emmett saying do-an-esque. It was... We started to get into the do-an-esque sort of scenario with Marc Marquez. The absolute dominance of topping every session, not giving his opponents any chance, any opportunity.
Maybe a shout for Pecco Bagnaia to get a trophy here with just under 6 laps remaining. Look at that. Look how he's just turned up the pace in the last couple of laps. All around that low 154 mark. And then dipped into the 53s on the last 2 laps. Meanwhile, Pecco Bagnaia getting quicker and quicker, 54.0 from him, matching Bezzecchi in second.
We talked about it a little bit on Friday in practice, so if you heard us talk about it, I'll apologise, but what's different about watching how Mark's achieving these results this year is, we've seen Mark have the dominance on the Honda, but it always looked like he was on the edge. It always looked like he might crash. The bike was tying itself up in knots. The way he has learned to ride that Ducati, it looks effortless. Wheels are in line. It's not hopping around or skipping. It looks stable.
Anyone who was listening on Friday knows that's not exactly what you said on Friday. You said, I could do that.
Now you are ever so slightly twisting my words. I said, he makes it... Okay, I did. No, I basically said, he makes it look that easy, almost effortless, because the wheels are in line. You don't see the bike pumping on exit. It's not wheeling, of course. When you watch Marc Marquez on a Honda, it made me feel sick, because I used to think, how on earth could you do that week in, week out? How can you ride so wild on the limit? But he's been able to achieve the same results, but in a complete different fashion on the Ducati.
So a bit, you know, we talk about the greats reinventing themselves. You know, you mentioned Mick Doohan, he had to reinvent himself with the injuries that he had. Valentino Rossi, how many times did he have to reinvent himself with a new breed coming through all the time? And that's what Marc Marquez had to do post-injury.
Exactly what he's had to do. To have longevity in a career that spans over a decade in the Premier class and have world championships. Our sport, this sport, moves on so fast, and when you mentioned it, I smiled when you mentioned Denny Pedrosa. You said 2012.
Yeah, that was
a long time ago,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
Think of the bikes back then to how they are now, and literally think of the base riding style in general, let alone how you have to ride one of these bikes. So yeah, it moves, and you are right. All the greats have had to evolve their style and change, and that is not easy.
On board with Bagnaia. Is there a chance? The gap now is down to 0.7. It was at about 1.7 at one point in this race. But Bagnaia has been methodical here. He's not panicked. He's got on with his job, and he can see Acosta now, and it's within touching distance. And every single corner, he'll be able to chip away 100th here, 100th there. Is there a chance for Bagnaia?
Yes, there is.
4 laps remaining.
Absolutely there is. There is enough time. Yeah, with 2 tenths quicker on the last lap. This lap is looks like it could be. Yeah, I think he's going to be quicker by about a 10.
Here we go to the line. Yeah, 0.8, about, well, just less than a 10th actually quicker than Acosta on that lap. Acosta has responded. Yeah,
now if you're Pedro Acosta, you're well aware of what's happening. And these are the conversations you're literally having to yourself now. It's don't panic, be perfect. You've now got to do, let's say, 3 perfect laps. If you've this gap on the last lap, there's no way anyone's going to catch you. So you've got to be precise. Don't get sucked into trying harder, braking a bit later, getting on the gas a bit earlier, because all of a sudden it's just small mistakes and you lose tenths.
On board again with Bagnaia. Binder's come from 19th on the grid up to 9th. Every chance he'll take Jack Miller for that 8th place in front of him. Here we go. This
just like that. Oh,
Jack there
wasn't quite expecting it, but Brad was aggressive, but just got the braking a bit wrong. But now he's got perfect track position on the inside. Good friends, these two.
Shows how all the corners link into each other, though, here, doesn't it?
And Aldeguer's going to try and pick Jack's pocket up the hill. He's going to use that Ducati power, try and level him on the brake, so he's got the inside line.
There'll be no waiting for Fermin Aldeguer. First chance he gets. Well, I know my family have written in a few times.
I was going to say, my wife's not that keen on my voice.
Thankfully not.
Yeah, no tyre pressure stories today, thankfully.
Well, we haven't got to the end of the race yet, but it doesn't look like being the case.
Right, 2.5 laps to go. The gap for Pedro Acosta and Bagnaia is half a second. He's going to have a go, isn't he?
Well, he's just at a 53.9, Neil.
Wow, yeah, 0.3 quicker than the man in front.
Really is motoring now. He's got to not fluff his lines, though, here, because Pedro Acosta is one of the hardest riders to pass in this class. You think Pedro Bagnaia breaks late, so does Acosta. We will see now. Marc Marquez, meanwhile, just over 2 laps to go to win his 5th double in a row.
And is it his 70th MotoGP win?
Yeah.
Unreal. This one, what's this? This 8 out of 12. All right, yeah, 8 out of 12 Grand Prix, 11 out of 12 sprints. It's not been a bad season so far. Still 2 laps to go, though. This man wants to be on the podium.
To the line for Marquez. 2 laps to go. Gap behind Pedro Acosta. There, that's what 0.4 looks like.
Yeah, and Pedro did respond on that lap. That's a much quicker lap for Pedro. Gap stayed stable. Aldeguer's going to have a look into turn 1. Yeah,
I don't like the
not on Brad Binder. Brad's so difficult to pass because he's so wide, because he backs it in that much. He's got a funny riding style. He is wide.
Yeah, he feels like he's a vibes rider, isn't he? Brad Binder. Bike won't do what he wants it to do, so he just twists it into the shape that he wants it to be, as Aldeguer does come through on Binder. This one's going to be tight on the switch back. Binder will switch to the inside to power down towards turn 5, right through the inside curve, but the Ducati has the edge on the run down into the stadium. That promotes Aldeguer up into 8th spot now, and Binder back to 9th, having tracked Jack for much of this race. Still Bagnaia closes on Acosta. Still the young Spaniard keeps the double world champion at bay.
Yeah, the gap's sort of stagnant at 0.4 now. Oh, he's trying into there, you could see Pecco back wheel off the ground, backing in. Mark's backed it off now a little bit.
Might be a bit too little too late here for Bagnaia. Has he got something up the hill now? Needs a chance, needs to have one go on the last lap. Is he going to be able to get close enough? Up the hill for the penultimate time for Pecco Bagnaia in 4th. Can he take home a trophy and give him some comfort into the summer break? He needs the summer break, perhaps more than any of the other riders out there.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it'll be a nice 3 weeks if you can get on the podium. It'll make such a difference. Nobody wants to finish 4th.
Remember, Alex Marquez is out of this race. The gap between them is 61 points. This will go some way to closing that gap to Alex in the championship. The Ducati factory team expect a 1-2 in the championship this year. Can Pecco deliver a trophy for them in 3rd today? Gap at the front, Marc Marquez is definitely eased off. He was half a second slower than Bezzecchi on that last lap. Who will take 3rd behind the front 2?
Yeah, he's closing.
Yeah.
There's going to be a chance. It might be into the final chicane, or the one before, the one up on the hill, horsepower hill.
You know what, though? He's eaten every mark, isn't he, Pedro Acosta? Not making any mistakes. It was an excellent ride yesterday. He led briefly, of course, when Marc Marquez dropped behind him, but still took his first sprint podium of the season. With the new CEO of KTM here, bodes well. Remember, it's their home race. Next up comes up in 4 weeks' time from the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Let's drop down the hill for the final time in this brilliant Brno circuit, down towards Schwantz Corner. I'm not sure if Bagnaia is going to be close enough.
No, he isn't.
To have a lunge. Acosta's ridden superbly to respond here.
Yeah, he has. Kept it perfect, like you said. He's not give Bagnaia a chance.
Closes
Bagnaia
in deep there.
Matt.
Yeah, tried everything, didn't he, to make it all up on the brakes. But as we said, Pedro Acosta's a demon. Just 2 more corners left for Marc Marquez to negotiate. He crashed there in qualifying. Makes it safely through the danger zone on this occasion. Make it 5 on the bounce. 5 doubles. History made by Marc Marquez in red. He wins on our return after 5 years here at the Czech Grand Prix in Brno. Marco Bezzecchi comes home in 2nd. Pedro Acosta makes it 3 manufacturers on the podium. Personal best lap. Out of them all, who would be your rider of the race? Use that QR code to choose it. Who would you go with, Neil?
I'm not going to surprise you, Gav. I mean, I've got to say Marc Marquez, absolutely dominant.
5 on the bounce, 5 1-2s in a row. Marc Marquez and Jorge Martin, look, they've never been the best of pals. They're out cycling, weren't they? And Jorge said, actually, when I was off injured, I spoke to one rider who gave me advice, and it was Marc